So let's talk a little bit about how to still trust the process and trust the universe when things don't go to your plan. When you set a goal and it didn't work out, when you maybe even put a date on your manifestation and it didn't manifest by that time. How do you keep the faith? How do you keep trusting that everything's working out for you when things don't really seem to be working out for you? In this video, I'm going to tell you a real life story from my personal experience of how trusting the universe and things not going to my plan is one of the best things that ever happened to me. So yesterday was my birthday. I'm an Aquarius. My mum and dad bought me so many beautiful house plants. I love my plants. This one has the softest underside of the leaves. It literally feels like little baby kitten ears. It's so cute. Hello, my darlings. Welcome back. Or if you're brand new, hi, my name's Lucy. I am a little bit weird. And on this channel, I share all kinds of things about personal development, spirituality, and how to become the best version of you. Let me take you back to 2011. I was finishing school. Gosh, I sound like one of those old people now, don't I? 2011, I was in my final year of school, and because I was a hard-working student and got pretty good grades, my school encouraged me or just assumed that I was going to apply either to Oxford or Cambridge, which are the two best universities in the United Kingdom. So I had a look around both and I decided I was going to go for Cambridge. So I knew that to apply to Cambridge, it was a big deal. Like, you have to give it your everything. You have to pour every cell of your body has to be focused on applying to Cambridge. You're not allowed to put Cambridge as your second or third option, otherwise they won't even consider you. You have to put Cambridge as your first option. And the interview process is notoriously difficult and grueling and requires a lot of preparation, right? So I did all my preparation and, worked as hard as I possibly could to make sure that I gave myself the best chance of being accepted to Cambridge. When the day came that I went to Cambridge with my mum for the interview, I remember being so nervous, but also feeling so ready because I had put in hundreds of hours of preparation, knowing the answer to any possible question that could have been thrown my way. And when I went to the college, and this is no disrespect to Cambridge, this was just my own personal, unique experience. Cambridge is a beautiful university. But when I went to this particular college and I was in the waiting room with a bunch of the other applicants, so, other potential Cambridge students, not actual Cambridge students. First of all, I got a really bad vibe from most of them. They were all, sizing me up. I was like, oh, shoot, yeah, I suppose we're in competition with each other for these places. But I hadn't thought about it like that. I was thinking, oh, we could potentially be spending the next 3 or 4 years of our life together. Like, these could be my new friends. And there was a lot of competitiveness. There were people coming up to me, like asking me questions, questioning me, sizing me up, like trying to throw me off course, trying to knock my confidence. It was really not nice. Kept my cool. I was focused. I was like, let's just come in here and do what you were meant to do, Lucy. I went into the first interview. It went pretty well. It went okay. And another interview did not go so well at all. In fact, they asked me questions in that interview that no one would have expected me to know. Things that were totally not to do with the requirements. Things where, like, I was told that you're not meant to know any of that all of that will be taught to you. Maybe I should have over prepared, maybe I should have studied the course before actually doing the course or something. But the point is, I wasn't able to answer the questions on the second interview, and I was really shaken by it and felt like I'd really failed on something that I had prepared so much for. Mum and I went home, tried to stay as positive as possible. I wasn't really big into the law of attraction at this point. People do sometimes ask me, like, I've done my exams, I have to wait 2 weeks for the results to arrive. Like, you know, what can I do to manifest the result? And to be honest, if you've already taken the exam, like, yeah, you can focus on miracles happening and nothing's impossible. But I do believe that manifestation is often an accumulation of energy that you focused in a certain direction for a period of time, so that the momentum leads to one outcome or the other. You know, it's a little bit too little too late after you've completed the exam to then start manifesting. Like, the whole process of you studying and revising and preparing and then taking that exam, that is all part of your manifestation. You are manifesting the result that's what manifesting is. So anyway, that's a quick little side note. A few weeks went by, finally I got the letter, opened the letter, and I remember the first word saying, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you were unsuccessful, you failed your interview. I can't remember what the rest of the letter said, but basically I did not get into Cambridge. And remember, I said that I poured everything that I had into this interview process, where I wasn't even considering what my life would look like. There was no plan B, there was only a plan A. So I remember sat there crying in my mum's office, sat on her office chair, just crying and crying, feeling like such a failure and totally uninspired about what I was actually going to do with my life now. Then after a while of crying, my mum said, well, you know, what about looking at your second option or your third option university? Like, maybe, sure, it won't be Cambridge, but, you know, maybe you'll actually have more fun. Like, maybe you won't have to work as hard and you'll actually be able to enjoy university a little bit more and, you know, do more extracurricular activities because the course won't be so demanding. And maybe that's a good thing. Like, it doesn't have to be Cambridge. And so then my mind started to contemplate and consider the possibility of going to another university. And after a while, I was like, actually, yeah, why am I giving myself such a hard time? That could actually be fun. I ended up going to the University of Leeds and having the time of my life, so much growth personally in terms of like the social situations that really tested me and strengthened me and grew me. It was very outside my comfort zone, but had so much fun, made some of the best friendships ever. And then it also included, the course at Leeds University also included a year where I could go to Spain and live in Spain. So then I started visualizing, where do I want to live in Spain? Maybe it's Barcelona, maybe Madrid, you know, maybe I could work in the film industry in Madrid. It could be so great. So I applied for loads of jobs. I did, you know, all of these applications. But the sticking point was that during that time in 2013, Spain was going through one of its worst recessions ever. A huge percentage of Spanish people who lived in Spain were unemployed. The last thing they were going to do was look at some girl who doesn't speak Spanish very well trying to get a job when, you know, there's barely enough jobs to go around as it is in Spain, right? So a lot of employers just kind of laughed me off the phone or didn't reply to my emails because they had other more important issues to consider than finding a job for a little English girl, right? So time started to go on and my Leeds University was saying, look, we can't let you go and do your year abroad unless you've told us what you've got. You know, we can't just send you to Spain without a plan. We need to have something in writing. Then as a sort of desperate last resort, my mum was like, maybe I can just email some of my friends and see if anyone has any contacts in Spain. It might not be ideal, but it's better than nothing, and you can have something written down there on the piece of paper for your university. One person gets back to her saying that, yeah, one of his business partners lives in this lovely little seaside town in Spain and, you know, often commutes to London and back to work in London, but his family live in this place in Spain and his children go to the school in Spain, and maybe the school would be open to taking some kind of teacher or teaching assistant. I had no desire to be a teacher. My mum was a teacher, and from her experience being a teacher, she was like, don't be a teacher. No disrespect to teachers. It was just, this is my own mum's experience. And then my experience, she was like, you know, she did amazing things, but it was very, very draining, very, very difficult for her. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I didn't have a choice. And I thought, let's do it. Like, Who knows? It's going to be a great experience. Let's trust the process. Hopefully you guys are seeing like the decisions of one way or another that are leading to where I sit right now in the life I live right now. So I moved to this tiny little town in Spain. I moved there completely on my own and ended up having the most life-changing year in this town that I had never heard of. So in this tiny little town, I lived on my own. I didn't know anybody. And actually, as lonely as that sometimes was, and as scary as that sometimes was, any of you, especially any women who've lived on their own, it's not easy and it's not always fun, and it can be really lonely and quite scary sometimes. Despite all of that, it also meant that I had so much more free time. Like, I didn't have to socialize because I didn't know anyone. And so I would just take myself on long walks on the beach with my camera, and I would sit and meditate. And like, I was new to spirituality, I was new to meditation, but I felt like I had this whole spiritual awakening in that time when I was living on my own, no distractions. You know, if I had ended up getting a job in Barcelona or in Madrid, I probably would have lived in a flat with lots of other people, lived in an apartment with lots of other people, which would have been great fun for sure, but I wouldn't have had all of this time to build a relationship with me. I wouldn't have had all of this time to spend hours alone with nature. I wouldn't have had all of this time to hear my thoughts, like actually hear them and speak to the universe and listen and spot signs and synchronicities, because I would have been so distracted with everything else going on. So I actually ended up having this incredible few months of spiritual growth, which then followed on to me bumping into Jamie. Can you hear him flushing the toilet? Which led to me meeting Jamie. A complete chance meeting. Jamie is my soulmate. Jamie is the man of my dreams, my perfect partner, my best friend, the most incredible person I've ever been in a relationship with, in terms of like how well suited we are to each other. And you know, now we're engaged to get married, and our plan is to move back to that town. And fast forwarding to now, because of lockdown, you know, it really pushed me to make my business 100% online, so that what I can do from home, which means what I could do from anywhere. And similarly, Jamie's ended up having, you know, big changes in his career because of lockdown, because of the pandemic, and then it's led to him now having a new job which he can do remotely from anywhere. So, you know, again, another unplanned situation. Obviously, my heart goes out to everyone who's been affected by the pandemic, and we've also been affected by the pandemic. But the silver lining, the thing that's happened in our lives now is that we are in a position now where we can contemplate no longer living where we live and choosing to live absolutely anywhere in the world that we want, contemplating living in this tiny little town again, because even though there aren't loads of job opportunities there, if you have business and you can work online and you can work from anywhere, you can live there, you can live where you want to live. In my story that I've just shared with you, you know, I'm sure you spotted so many moments where things didn't go to plan, whether it was a thing just in my little life or whether it was like a global thing happening, where I did think like, why is this happening and what am I going to do, and why hasn't this gone to my plan, and what did I do wrong? And obviously those questions came up in my head as well, and it was definitely not all just easy breezy. But looking at where my life is right now, this very second, this very moment, and what our plans are for the next year, which may or may not go to plan, of course, but the life that I'm creating right now would not exist had everything in the last 10 years of my life gone according to my plan. So the moral of the story is there is a bigger picture, and often we have a plan, but our plan is only based on like our limited number of experiences that we have had. That is how we form our our goals and our ideas and our vision, right? It's based on like the things that we've experienced already usually. Whereas the universe is so much bigger and there's so many more things, there's so many more possibilities that we might not be even aware of that could be so much better for us. And maybe you could call that like your guidance system, your inner being, your destiny path, the universe. There's so many different ways that you could sort of define it or explain what I'm talking about. But for sure, from my experience, is that if you do keep trusting the process, if you do keep an open mind, that things could still be working in your favor. If you, when manifesting, ask for this or something better, please, this or something better, please, then it can help you to stay open to the idea that even if one thing fell through that you were maybe really looking forward to, maybe, almost definitely, something even better could be on the horizon, could be around the corner. You're more likely to pick up on those better opportunities rather than, you know, having your head still in your failure or the thing that didn't work out for you. You know, like if you can open your eyes to the fact that there's other stuff going on, then you don't miss it. Then you don't miss those potentially even better plan B situations that are passing you by. How much of my story resonated with you? What was the one thing that you really took away from this video? Were you meant to see this video? If it was, let me know in the comments. There's things in your life where now you're looking back and going, you know what? Wow, if that thing hadn't have gone wrong, I wouldn't have met my dream partner, or I wouldn't have had my children, or I wouldn't be living where I'm living now, you know? So I'd love to hear more of your experiences with this magical, inexplicable phenomenon that is the importance of trusting the process. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit my subscribe button and ring my bell so that you never miss another video. Until next time.